Go ahead, Ella.
I'm Ella of Troop 20923 from South Arlington, Maplewood, New Jersey. Thank you for joining us tonight as the Girl Scouts National Council delegation comes together to learn more about the importance of word choice and effective communication for girls and women, and how this relates to the Girl Scout Promise and Law, and my troop's idea to modify them to be more empowering. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that participants will remain on mute throughout this session. We will start with 3 presentations, and then we'll open to a panel discussion to address questions from you. If you have a question, please enter it into the chat log. Maya from our troop and staff from Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey and Girl Scouts USA will be monitoring the chat log throughout the session. As we have such a large audience here tonight, we expect a wide variety of questions, and it is unlikely we'll be able to respond to all of them. Instead, we'll group them, and Maya will use them to moderate the panel discussion. Responses to any questions not addressed in the panel will be collected into a document that we'll share after the session. This session is intended to start a national conversation that will provide feedback to the National Board. Since any change to the Girl Scout Promise and Law is a big deal, the National Board wants to take extra time to make sure we're being thoughtful, inclusive, and wise in considering the proposal. We recognize that these passages are close to the heart for many Girl Scouts, and passion may build at the idea of changing them. But I remind you that we're all Girl Scout sisters here, and should use this session as an opportunity to listen, learn, share with openness, and without fear of judgment. Girl Scouts have been trying for a long time. Our troop believes the time has come to show what we've always been able to do. I'd like to take a moment to introduce my friends and troopmates.
I'm Ziva, and I bake for my neighbors because I am friendly and helpful.
I'm Tabby, and I love to babysit because I am considerate and caring.
I'm Maya, and I take risks because I am courageous and strong.
I'm Kate, and I protest against social injustice because I not only respect myself, but I respect others.
I'm Emerson, and I compost because I use resources wisely.
I'm Lucy, and I have donated my hair twice to make wigs for kids in need because I make the world a better place.
And I'm Ella, and I go to Girl Scout sleepaway camp every summer. I am a sister to every Girl Scout. On that note, please advance the slide, and let's begin with a history lesson from Sharon Beatty.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Next slide, please, Jen. Okay, so we want to start today's discussion with a look back at the history of the Promise and Law and how they relate to the Girl Scout leadership experience. So when Juliette Lowe began Girl Scouts, she wanted to build an organization that would promote and provide exciting opportunities for girls within the framework of a positive values-based movement. The Girl Scout Promise and Law have changed many times over the years, and those changes have continued to express our Girl Scout values over time. Today, the values in the Promise and Law continue to be a force that unites Girl Scouts nationwide. In 1910, Agnes Baden-Powell, sister of Robert Baden-Powell, and Olive, his wife, established the Girl Guides in England. Inspired by their work, Juliette Lowe joined the Girl Guide movement, forming her own guide troop there in 1911. In 1912, she returned to her home in Savannah and telephoned a cousin to say, "I've got something for the girls of Savannah and all of America and the world, and we're going to start it tonight." So the first Promise and Law used by our first Girl Scout troops in 1912 were the ones used by their Girl Guide sisters abroad. Next slide, please. In 1913, the first Girl Scout handbook, How Girls Can Help Their Country, was published. So changes in the Promise and Law were printed inside and reflected the change from guides to scouts. You will see the changes in wording in bold and underlined on this slide and on all the slides going forward. So the promise in 1913 went from my duty to your duty to God, and obey the guide law became obey the law of the Scouts. Next slide. The Girl Scout laws of 1913 also had changes from the guide law used in 1912. Law 4 now stated, a Girl Scout is a friend to all and a sister to every other Girl Scout, no matter to what social class she may belong. The 9th guide law became our 6th and was reworded from A guide is always pure to a Girl Scout keeps herself pure. And the guide law that stated a guide smiles and sings became a Girl Scout is cheerful. Next slide. In our history, there have been times when the promise and law were changed and then later were changed back again. That's the case in 1916, when the handbook was still How Girls Can Help Their Country. In it, the promise reflects a change back to do my duty to God and my country. Next. Also in 1916, the 6th and 9th laws were changed. A Girl Scout is cheerful was changed to say a Girl Scout keeps herself cheerful. And a Girl Scout keeps herself pure changed to a Girl Scout is pure. Next. In 1917, the 4th law changed, removing the words no matter to what social class she may belong. The 6th and 9th laws also changed back to the wording from the 1913 laws. Next. In 1920, a new handbook was released called Scouting for Girls. In it, the promise and law were reorganized and slightly reworded. Gone were the words to do my duty, and in their place was to be true to God and country. Next slide. Then later in 1920, a second change was made to the promise and noted in Scouting for Girls' second edition. And this was to be true to God and my country, which changed back to do my duty to God and my country. Next. In 1920, the laws were also changed. They were reordered, with both a friend to animals and a Girl Scout is thrifty moving up in order. A Girl Scout keeps herself cheerful became simply a Girl Scout is cheerful. The biggest shift in 1920 was in the change from a Girl Scout is pure to a Girl Scout is clean in thought, word, and deed. Next. Keep going. Okay, in 1927, the laws remained the same, but for the first time, the promise to obey the Scout laws changed finally to obey the Girl Scout laws. Amazingly, the promise and laws remained the same until 1972, when the National Council considered a proposal to reword them. Now, that possibility had come before the 1969 convention, and it was determined that the concepts would be retained, but the language would be updated. A task group was assigned to work on the revised wording, which was put to the test by taking it to the girls for their reaction. A sample of girls was asked about the proposed rewording and its meaning for them. Returns were received from over 4,600 troops, representing more than 80,000 girls, and the proposed wording received strong approval from those girls. During that convention, another significant change was made when the National Council decided that all age levels take the same promise, which brought an end to our historic Brownie Scout promise. Next. For more than 50 years then, our Girl Scout ethical code as expressed in the Girl Scout laws had remained unchanged. Through National Council action, they were totally rewritten from the 1920 version to be more meaningful to the various levels of understanding for the girls. And another big shift, the term Girl Scout laws was changed to Girl Scout law, as many felt that laws sounded legalistic. For the first time in that convention, senior scouts were involved in the discussion on the floor of the National Council. Those official senior scout participants were selected by their councils, but they did not have yet voting rights. Next. So at the 1984 National Council meeting, the National Council revised the Girl Scout promise. The words "and mankind" were removed. So the promise simply stated, "On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country." And in line with Girl Scouting's core element of service, the words "to help people at all times" were added to complete the promise in 1984. Next. And in 1993, the National Council voted to add flexibility to the spoken Girl Scout promise. Girl Scouts could now substitute another word or words for the word God to more closely express their personal spiritual beliefs. Next. The 1996 National Council once again approved new wording for the Girl Scout law, while the promise remained the same. Many of the concepts in the law were new or updated concepts. So caring, courage, strength, and personal responsibility were all added. Next, now as a comparison, let's take a look at the BSA Scout Oath. The Scout Oath and the way Scouts are introduced to the Scout Law both use try language. At the bottom half of this slide, you can see how the BSA national website speaks about the parts of the law, each being a goal that Scouts strive to reach. Next. So across our history, how does the word try relate to our program? The Girl Scout Leadership Experience, or the GSLE, outlines what is the foundation of all Girl Scout program. Girls are expected to develop 5 attitudes and behaviors essential to sound leadership. These 5 outcomes define the Girl Scout Leadership Experience. They also relate closely to the Girl Scout Promise and Law. Next. So here are our 5 leadership outcomes for girls. Our challenge-seeking outcome in particular highlights the importance of using failure as an opportunity to learn and grow and as a necessary step to success. This outcome focuses on taking appropriate risks and learning from mistakes to build confidence, learn problem solving, and to be open to new experiences. Decades of research on growth mindset show that individuals who believe their skills can be developed through hard work, good attempts, and practice have a growth mindset. They tend to achieve more than those with a more fixed mindset, or those who believe their talents are innate gifts. People with a growth mindset worry less about failing and put more energy into learning as they go. Studies show that when you think they can achieve and grow, so when they have a growth mindset, they understand that making an effort to do something leads to success, and therefore they try harder to achieve. Next, please. The Girl Scout Research Institute has carefully measured girls' progress on our 5 leadership outcomes. What the research discovered is that Girl Scouts are more likely than non-Girl Scouts to develop these outcomes, including the challenge-seeking outcome. Community problem solving is also closely linked to all of this, and it assesses girls' desire to help others and make a positive difference in the world and the skills they have that are necessary to do so. Although attitudes and behaviors are related, so people usually act in ways that align with their beliefs, they are not identical. A girl must care deeply about helping others, yet she may lack the skills to solve problems in her community. In Girl Scouts, we expect that over time, girls will develop both the skills and the interest. As related to the I Will proposal, it is important to our Girl Scout values that girls try to help others, even when girls may not always have the skills to do so, especially for our youngest members. Thank you so much for your attention to this hysterical and historical review of the law and promise. Now, as we advance to the next slide, it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Cindy Waller. Dr. Waller is a psychologist, an expert in human behavior with expertise in enhancing communication skills and increasing overall leadership competencies. Dr. Waller is here today to talk to us about impactful communication. Welcome, Dr. Waller.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you for your insightful presentation. And it's absolutely an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. And I must say to you, in over 2 decades of my career, tonight's presentation webinar stands out as something that's very special. In the words of Ella, this truly is a big deal. And so, as Sharon suggested, I have expertise in working with leaders, women in particular, around how women can be more impactful, and the communication that we use in terms of the words that we choose, the tone of voice that we have, our body language is directly correlated with our success in life. And as we go through these slides, I'm going to demonstrate that to you. So on the next slide, Your mission statement could not be phrased any better. It is extremely powerful, building girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. And if I think about these girls this evening who have participated and who've been working hard over the years, they are not our next generation leaders. They are not our high potentials. They are not our emerging leaders. In fact, they are leaders today. And I look to these girls in a way as my mentors, and they could be doing reverse mentoring because they have inspired me. They are bold, they are confident, and they have taken risks. And if you think about it, no matter how old we are, no matter what age, what stage we are in life, our self-esteem, our self-image is directly related to our outcomes around success. And so when we use words, these words externally also become part of our self-talk. And our self-talk will really determine how confident and how we are perceived by others. And so if we turn to the next slide, we're talking around diversity, and this is extremely timely because in the globe, across the globe, we look at diversity in terms of gender, race, ethnicity, religion, culture, color, and we know, and you can see from the data below, that when organizations hire, retain, advance, promote, develop, and reinforce diversity, this is an impact on the direct bottom line and the profitability. And so we want to be able to give women a stronger platform and more opportunities. As I work with women in profit and not-for-profit industries in every sector, what always happens is I'm referred clients, particularly women, who have plateaued in their careers. They are extraordinarily bright. Their work is stellar. They meet all their deliverables. They're on time, on budget, yet they don't get promoted. And when I speak to these women and I observe them in meetings and shadow them, it has everything to do with how they communicate. And so I will show you on the next slide. So how we are socialized, whether it's by how we grew up in terms of our parenting and our influences at home, whether it be community organizations, whether it be mentors, bosses that we had, our educational system, women generally seek first to build empathy. We make connections, we develop rapport, and it is really our commitment to be collaborative and to partner. Men, on the other hand, start with the bottom line, and it is more about where are we going, what are the goals, and look to really claim their position. Both styles are important, and it isn't an either or. What we really want to do is take the styles from both. So when women are being inclusive, I'm sure many of you tonight can relate to this. What we do is we use tags. And what I mean by tags is that we use question marks. When we put a statement and turn it into a question, a few things happen. Our voices go up an octave. So I could say, this is a good idea, which is declarative and it has confidence. Or I could say, which women generally do, this is a good idea, isn't it? So when I add the question mark or the tag, then it starts to convey, I'm not sure. That's not my intent. My intent, though, is to get you, the listener, to participate with me. Do you agree? Do you debate this? Do you have a different point of view? And that can be achieved without a question mark. So I could say, now we can move forward. Or I could say, now we can move forward, can't we? And again, this diminishes or creates a feeling of self-doubt. Women also apologize a lot. Why do we apologize? We start to apologize for things we're not even responsible for. So when people interrupt us, and I see it in meetings all the time, it's the recipient of the interrupting who goes, who continues to talk, and the one speaking who's been interrupted says, I'm sorry. Why are you sorry if you've been interrupted? Or when someone bumps into you, we say, I'm sorry. And so again, in doing that, it makes us feel in secondary or makes us sound like we're second guessing ourselves. My male clients, and I have many examples, will get a promotion, will negotiate on behalf of themselves for bigger projects. They raise their hand and they say, I'll do that. And I will actually take on this project with larger scope. When I say to these clients, how is it that you assumed responsibility, that you negotiated such a savvy way of getting that promotion or getting that project or advancing your career when I know you don't even have the skills for that? And the answer always, 100% of the time is, I'll figure it out. And they're right. They do figure it out and they are successful. Women, on the other hand, when they're offered a potential opportunity, ask and respond with lots of questions. Tell me more about it. What is the budget? What type of resources will I have? How many people are on this? What is the outcome you're looking for? Those are all valid questions. But what we do is we preempt ourselves by asking these questions. Again, it suggests that we're not sure. Maybe I'm going to consider it. It depends on how you answer me. And when I ask men, they'll say they'll sort that all out later. And they do. So it really has to do with how we show up. One of my clients is a two-time Olympian, an Olympian skier. She approached me before she won her gold medals, and she said to me, I know that I'm technically as good as everybody else, but in my qualifying trials, I don't come out on top. I will be able to compete, but I'm not so sure. And so that twigged me when she said, I'm not so sure. So I had her walk through with me what exactly, when she was at the top of the hill, at the starting gate, I said, walk me through two things, what you visualize and what you say to yourself as you're about to wait for the starting gun. And she says, I will hope for the best possible outcome. I'm going to possibly get down the fastest. And then I asked her to tell me what she imagines. And so she imagines everybody racing by, but she does not imagine herself on the podium. And so we practiced, and I had her go through visually that run, that course, countless times. It probably was over 500 times. And I said to her, you are the winner. If you win bronze, it's kind of a whisper, I said to her. If you win silver, you'll always feel second best. If you win gold, you own it. So I said, own it. And think about your speech, your inner talk as you won, you will win, and you owned it. And so there were a whole bunch of variables, of course, that day that made her compete, that allowed her to finish successfully and allowed her to win the gold medal. But certainly this was an important differentiator. On the next slide, when it comes to body language, it matters as well. So we as women have a disadvantage in that generally we are smaller, we're just smaller frames. But how we fill the space, how we stand, how we communicate through eye contact, not fidgeting, our tone of voice allows us to really be present and take up that room with confidence. So when I was early on in my career, I was working for a consulting firm, a highly prestigious one. It still is highly prestigious. My job was to work with Fortune 500 executives and facilitate table groups for breakout exercises. I was petrified with the idea of speaking in front of the room, but I knew if I pushed myself, this was a good thing. So I said to the lead person, is it possible, would you let me present a module? And he said, sorry, Cindy, I really don't think so. And I said, well, why? And he said, and I thought, well, maybe he hadn't seen me present before. And he said, well, you're small. So on a good day, I'm 5'1", and maybe I'm not even 5'1" anymore. And I didn't win the genetic lottery. My parents are, of course, on the short side. And I knew this was not in my control. It was a crushing, devastating moment. And my inner thinking and self-talk was about self-doubt, was about a sense of inadequacy, was about no matter how much I try, I was not going to get any taller. But I thought about it and I thought, well, this is one person, and one person can affect my destiny around his belief in my capability, or I could change this. And if I listened to him, I wouldn't be here speaking to you tonight. So I am grateful for seeing myself and seeing others as winners and being able to achieve. On the next slide, when we look at negotiation and we look at declarative communication, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Women don't self-promote. And again, my clients will often say to me, I'm disappointed that I didn't get ahead. I'm disappointed that I'm not heard. I thought my work would speak for itself. And that's a common myth, because we're all very bright, we're all very talented, almost everybody does great work, but what is going to differentiate you? And if you are noisy in the right kind of way around negotiating for yourself, then you will get more airtime and you become more believable. What shocks me is that women do have the skills to negotiate. You negotiate on behalf of everybody else. So for those of you tonight, most of you who are parents, you know, when you've helped your son or your daughter on a class test, on an essay, and you believe that that essay should come back with an 80%, a 95%, and it comes back as a 72%, you're upset. So what do? You call the teacher, you call the principal, and you say this isn't fair. So you speak on your child's behalf. For those of you who work on teams, you will promote your direct reports. If you feel that they haven't had a chance to evolve, to grow, to get a new assignment, you'll say they deserve it. They work hard. They're talented. Except when it comes to ourselves, it goes back to one of my earlier slides around why is it that women in senior ranks make up such a small percent of the employee population and also a small percent of boards. And it is because we don't speak up, we are not noisy enough, we don't declare that I can do this and that you can count on me and believe in me. So it was 3 years ago that I was asked to speak at a Pharma Women's Network Association. Jamie Barnes was in the audience. Little did I know on my slide that Jamie Barnes was a troop leader of Girl Scouts. And it goes to show you how important the words you choose. So this even reinforces everything that I try to teach and everything that I try to share. So on my slide was exactly this. The Boy Scouts, on my honor, I will do my best. The Girl Scouts, on my honor, I will try. So when it suggests I will do my best, this is a declarative statement. You believe that that person will do their best. I want to root for that person. I want to align with that person. On my honor, I will try means that it's possible I will do my best. It's possible I will succeed. It's possible. If we look at, this is an important study with MBA applicants. There are countless of these studies, and for those of you who want additional data, post tonight, I'm happy to provide it. There was a study done of MBA applicants. The selection committee, those deciding on these applicants, whether they be admitted into the program, were made of male and female professors, administrative, academic staff. The applicants were blind, meaning that you didn't know if the applicant was a man or a woman. They were asked to complete an essay on what their future was going to be about. In essence, how they hoped this MBA was going to equip them. And so when they reviewed these applications, what they found was that men more often than not began the sentence with, I will. This is my intent. Here's where I'm going to land. And this is what my job and my career is going to be. More often than not, women stated, I hope to, I would like to. And the difference is, as you can see from the slide, 70% of male applicants were rated more favorably than females by the selection committee. Because we want to associate ourselves with a winner. We want to associate ourselves with somebody who's going to be guaranteed to be successful. And colleges, universities build their reputation on their graduates and where they land. They also build their reputation around their funding and donations that are made. So on the next slide. When we fast forward to girls becoming women and being part of whether it's a corporate life or any aspect of our life, then we look at what is and what comprises a successful leader and a successful executive woman. And it goes back to exactly what we're talking about. So what differentiates leaders from those who manage? What differentiates leaders from non-leaders? It is this executive presence. It is about being able to negotiate on behalf of yourself. It is about having leadership agility where you can partner and collaborate. You have advocacy and you have self-promotion. And so what really overwhelms me this evening, as I mentioned earlier, is that these girls are agents of change. They have advocacy today. They've been working really hard and they are our thought leaders. And with conviction and boldness, they took risks to work so hard to get here tonight. And it's an accolade for them. And I'm very excited for them to build on it. And what I want to do is introduce, it's my great pleasure to hand off, as we have the next slide, the leaders and girls of Troop 020923 from the Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey. They are about to tell you about their exciting proposal, #IWill.
Thank you, Dr. Waller. We are thrilled to be here tonight to share #IWill with all of you. Our troop is requesting that Girl Scouts USA modify the Girl Scout Promise and Law to be more empowering and more confidence instilling for girls everywhere. We would like to take the next few minutes to walk you through our journey, how this project came about, the steps we have taken, and the key learnings we have made along the way. Next slide, please.
Our troop did 3 exercises to realize what Dr. Waller was talking about. First, we compared and contrasted the Girl Scout Promise and Law to the Boy Scout Oath and Law. We quickly identified that the Boy Scout Oath and Law clearly states what boys will do and who they are. The Girl Scout Promise and Law says what girls will try, and we thought that was a problem. Next, we observed our classmates, both boys and girls. The boys were quicker to answer questions and stated their responses with more confidence. The girls in our classroom hung back, hesitated when called on, and had trouble getting their answers out. We talked to our teachers, and they said that boys have no problem just answering, while girls need to feel 90% sure they are correct before answering a question, and we thought that was a problem. Lastly, we did research and learned that girls suffer a dramatic drop in confidence between ages 8 and 14. And we also looked up women in leadership positions across entertainment, politics, and business. We discovered that only 5% of business leaders were women, and in 2019, only 11% of top movies were directed by women. And believe it or not, that was a record year for Hollywood. And despite a record number of women in Congress today, they still only make up 24% of the members. And we thought we need to change this. Next slide, please.
Originally, our leaders were only going to change the promise and law for our troop, but after all these steps and findings, we thought we needed to bring this to the attention of all Girl Scouts. So we wrote letters to Girl Scouts USA about why we want to change the promise and made this video of us reading our letters.
Attention, all girls around the world. There's been rumors going around talking about what we can't do. Well, I got news for you. You ain't seen nothing yet. Where my girls at? Here we go.
Dear Girl Scouts, I think that you should change the Girl Scout law and promise.
In the Girl Scout law, it says, I will try. There's been a mistake. Girl Scouts will not try to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful. They will do it.
Even though it's a 3-letter difference, it feels like more than that.
It makes us sound like we are not capable of doing things.
So maybe you should think again.
I am not afraid to put my voice in this matter.
Girl Scouts make the world a better place. At least that's what they say, right? But how can we make the world a better place if we aren't supposed to actually do it? Just try to do it.
Did you know that only 5% of business leaders are girls? And don't you want a woman to be president? Only saying we will try is not helping.
The promise and the law do not change themselves. We will.
We are the change, and we will be awesome. We are girls, and we are proud to speak up.
True to 993.
We sent the letters and the video to Girl Scouts USA and Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey to show how we want to make a difference. Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey invited us to present #IWill to their board of directors to see if they'd be willing to sponsor it as a proposal and discussion topic for the Girl 2020 National Council session. And they did. It was unanimous. Next slide, please.
As part of our journey, we spoke with female leaders in our community. As part of our journey, we spoke with the female leaders in our community, including the president and councilwomen of South Orange. They encouraged us to build grassroots support for #IWill through signature campaign and sharing our video and message. We went to our town's National Night Out last August and got over 200 signatures in one night. We presented to both of our town councils to gain their support. By the end of our presentations, the town councils in both Maplewood and South Orange passed legislative resolutions in support of #IWill, and the deputy mayor of Maplewood called us the next generation of advocates and emerging change agents. Next slide, please.
We launched an online petition through change.org, and with our YouTube video, our message got out. We started hearing from Girl Scouts and Girl Scout leaders from across the country and how they supported #IWill too. We even heard from parents of current and future Girl Scouts. We were so excited to receive support from all different parts of the USA. Here are a handful of quotes from our supporters. My favorite is, "These simple changes make a big difference and strengthen our girls. Why wouldn't we do this?" Newspapers in Newark and Cleveland picked up our story. One troop saw our video and did their own #IWill signature campaign at their council's World Thinking Day event earlier this year. That is a picture of them holding all the pages of signatures they collected. As of now, we have over 2,000 signatures on our online petition and over 5,500 views on our video. Next slide, please.
This is how we envision the Girl Scout promise and law. They are minor changes, but we think they would make a major impact on the Girl Scout community.
On my honor, I will serve God and my country, help people at all times, and live by the Girl Scout law. I will be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do. And will respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. Next slide, please.
We as Girl Scouts build girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. And that starts with what we believe and the confidence to make that happen. Girl Scouts recite the promise and law hundreds of times, and words matter, similar to if you can see it, you can be it. If you can say it, you can believe it. Before we get to the panel discussion, our leaders want to share a few thoughts with you.
As a mother and as a troop leader, of course, I recognize that trying is an incredibly important part of learning and skill building. I encourage my daughter Lucy to try new things daily. I want her to go beyond her comfort zone. I want her to challenge herself, and I want her to know that she's in a safe environment and she's supported if she doesn't succeed in whatever it is she's trying to achieve. However, when I look at the Girl Scout Promise and Law, I don't see anything that my daughter and all Girl Scouts cannot achieve. She will be friendly, she will be courageous, she will be caring. Of course, these things look different on different girls. Taking today as an example, I believe that all of our girls are in Troop 20923 are being so courageous today by presenting their passion project to all of you. Some of the girls decided that they wanted to present to you. Some of the girls decided that they wanted to answer questions on the panel, and some preferred not to speak, but they are all being courageous. It takes courage to advocate for change.
I just wanted to add that as I listened to Cindy speak all those years ago at the Women's Leadership Conference about impactful communication and the conscious and unconscious ways women diminish themselves every day, opposed to men, it got me thinking of all the times that I've second-guessed myself or added a tag to communication I've said in a meeting. For me, this is deeply personal. And I want my daughter and her friends and all of you and your daughters to have the success and achievement that they desire and deserve. And that starts with what girls believe and their confidence to make it happen. I can't stress enough how language and words are such important tools to building confidence and self-worth. I have learned so much as a mother, a leader, and as a professional going on this #IWill journey with our girls. Their energy, their passion, and their determination has amazed us. This has been a 3-year journey with these girls. Thank you so much for this opportunity tonight to hear directly from our girls. And with that, I'd like to open the floor to discussion.
So let's start the conversation. The woman you've heard from this evening, Sharon Beatty, Dr. Cindy Waller, my friends from Troop 0923, our leaders Jamie Barnes and Kate DeRazio, make up the panel that will respond to some of the points and questions you've been entering in the chat log throughout the session. All right. To Sharon. Wait, would like to know. Okay, yeah, I see it. And would like to know how many times the Promise and Law have been changed and reviewed for possible changes over the past years.
Good question, thank you. According to our archival experts, the promise has been changed 10 times, the law 7 times. Sometimes it was both of them, and 5 of those changes or conversations were at a National Council session.
All right, thank you. And another question for you. Wasn't this exact proposal previously discussed and voted on at a previous National Council session?
Not to my knowledge, and not based on what I heard from our historians. And I don't recall it at the meetings I have been to, so sorry, but I don't believe so. We can look into that though.
To Jamie or Kate. What is your response to those who say that trying new things and not being afraid to fail is a necessary tool to learning?
I'll take it. I don't want to sound too redundant because I actually spoke a bit about this. We obviously, as I said, we agree wholeheartedly that giving children and all people the freedom to try new things, to risk failure, is essential to learning, growing, and developing. There's great value in that, as I already said. But that being said, what enables someone to try a new activity, particularly one that's uncomfortable to them, is having courage. That's what we're focusing on. We want to give our girls the tools and language to commit to being courageous and strong, to commit to being considerate and caring, to commit to being responsible.
Thank you. To Dr. Waller, what do you say about the cultural bias that women who use declarative communication are considered not nice, pushy, or bossy?
That's a great question because that is what we hear and we've heard probably our whole lives. So two things. One, we need to think about the source where that comes from. And a lot of times that comes from people who are not necessarily secure in their own self. And so they may feel threatened. And really what has to happen is that we need to educate and train and inform those individuals who think that way, because the platform for everybody needs to be equal around being able to be self-assured, being able to have a voice, being able to be heard, and being able to articulate. And it is not considered pushy or in some ways inappropriate when a man says it. So why would it be different for a woman? It's more about having an equal playing field to be able to really claim your space and claim your perspective.
Awesome, I totally agree. To Tabby, what has been your favorite part of the #IWill journey?
My favorite part of the #IWill journey is knowing that we can make a difference for other girls and help their confidence.
All right, and to Ziva, in your presentation, you mentioned that it was your idea to bring #IWill forward to all Girl Scouts. What made you decide that?
When Jamie and Kate told us about the meeting with Dr. Waller, we were given the chance to boost our confidence. We wanted all girls to feel the same way. I know this will change the world.
Thank you. All right, to Dr. Waller, what did you think when Jamie, our troop leader, reached out to you and shared #IWill?
I was stunned. I was spectacularly stunned, and I have a permanent smile on my face since she told me. So I had no clue, first of all, who Jamie Barnes was. I had no clue all you girls were working so hard for so long, so intensely, and I am absolutely just so overwhelmed and taken with the investment that you put into this, the hard work, and as you've been saying, the courage, the boldness, the riskness, and you all embody exactly what we're talking about. And so that is why tonight is a platform that I am very believing in, that we can go forward with and build on. And so thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this. There's nothing more rewarding than this evening to me. So thank you.
Thank you. And to Jamie or Kate, trying has been a long part of the Girl Scout tradition. Why change it now?
Sure, so I'll start, and then Kate, if you want to add anything. You know, as Ella said in her introductory remarks, trying has been, or Girl Scouts have been trying for a really long time, and we think that the opportunity is right now to show what Girl Scouts have always been able to do, and to show Girl Scouts themselves what they've always been able to do. You know, as our girls did their research, I think one of the most poignant pieces that really stuck out to us was the fact that girls in the US suffer a dramatic confidence drop between the ages of 8 and 14. And I saw this myself while the girls were observing their classmates in their 4th grade class. My youngest was in a co-op preschool, and so I was spending a lot of time in the 4-year-old classroom. And those 4-year-olds, there are no differences between boys and girls and their willingness to participate, their willingness to share their voice. And yet that is not what our girls observed in their 4th grade class. So something happens to our girls as they are raised and socialized. And we think Girl Scouts have such an opportunity to lead and continue all the good work and amplify it that we have been doing in terms of closing this confidence gap. And that really comes down to using, you know, multiple channels, but one in particular is language and word choice, and giving those girls the tools that they can say things and they believe it.
All right, thank you. And oh, there's a bit of feedback. Okay. Oh well. To Lucy, what do you think? What do you say that saying "I will try" provides a safe space for girls, and taking away the try will take away the safe space to make a mistake?
Into your ear.
Wait, can you repeat that? The feedback
There's a little
is
echo.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Oh, it's a question that just came in. All right. So, what do you say that saying "I will try" provides a safe space for Girl Scouts, and taking away the try will take away the safe space for making mistakes?
Well, as my mom said previously, we're not saying that try is a bad word necessarily. Like my mom encourages me to try a lot of things, but when it comes to the Girl Scout law and promise, there is nothing that like we have to try to do. Like I can just be friendly and helpful. I don't have to try to do that. If my mom said like, okay, you're going to babysit this kid, and I be nice to her, and I said, okay, I'll try. She's gonna be like, no, you will be nice to her.
Totally. Okay. All right. Okay. And to Dr. Waller, what other advice do you have for Girl Scouts and troop leaders to fulfill the Girl Scout mission and close the confidence gap between boys and girls?
So I believe that more of these venues are helpful. So when we have role models of every age, Jamie, Kate, and other troop leaders, and you girls as well, being able to represent this level of self-assuredness, you are raising all of us. So you are raising the entire community, not just yourselves. And that is an inspiration to every one of us. So the more of this, is exponentially leads to greater success. So I root for all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. It looks like that's all the time we have for this evening. As I mentioned at the top of the show, responses to any points not addressed in the panel will be compiled into a document that we'll share after the session. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughtful, considerate participation.
Thank you everyone for joining us, for sharing your thoughts, and for supporting our community and each other. Before we close, I'd like to ask one more thing of each of you. The goal of tonight's session is to provide feedback to the national board so they can gauge nationwide interest in our #IWill proposal. So will you please take a few moments to respond to a survey on the session and our proposal that will be emailed to you tomorrow.
In Girl Scouts, we have a long tradition of closing important events with a friendship circle. If we were together in person, we would form a circle, cross our arms right over left, and join hands. While we can't physically join hands with everyone here tonight, let's symbolically link together on screen and pass a squeeze around the country. I'll start. Thank you so much for your time tonight and letting us share #IWill with you. Join us on our journey because, as you all know, Girl Scouts will and won't just try. Thank you and good night.